Hey class, welcome to week 6 of our sports literature class. This week we'll be doing a little bit of the same as we're really getting into our projects. And so that's why I wanted to start today was our debate project. Okay, so last time in class you should have created your opener, right? Your introduction to your podcast. And so usually, what we went through last time is I gave you guys a whole bunch of different techniques, different hooks to open up your podcast. So you could have done amplification, or you could have done story or quotation, start with the quotation, right? Those were just different ideas how to start. Today and this week, we're gonna be focusing on um, your argument itself, right? So we're gonna be focusing on using evidence, um, using your claim, making sure that you appeal to ethos, pathos, and logos, etc. Okay, so today we're going to talk about specifically how to write an argument. Okay, so I have this little um, presentation right here. You guys have access to it as well, but I'll walk you through it. Okay, so this is how you write argument. So in your opener, in your introduction, you should have your claim somewhere, right? And that claim should be a declarative sentence that shows exactly what you're arguing. So for me, my claim is athletes deserve and should be paid how the market values them. So I'm arguing um, basically that athletes are like they get paid a lot of money and that's okay. So that's gonna be my opener. So say I do an opener that I use the technique of story. I would start with my story, and my story would really whittle down into my claim or my thesis, which is athletes deserve and should be paid how the market values them. Okay, so that's what you should have done last time. And now we're into the next part, and this next part really it's your body paragraphs of your podcast. And really what you're doing is you're telling me why you believe the way you believe, right? I'm telling you why I believe athletes should be paid um, how the market values them. So my first argument is I think they should be paid how the market values them because the public chooses to spend their money on that type of entertainment, right? So that's my first argument, is that they should be paid this because of this reason. So for each of you guys, you need to make sure that you have plenty of reasons of why you believe the way you believe. You can't just say I believe this but not have reasons for it. So after I go into my reason, what you want to do, it's called you need to have evidence, right? And this is usually where ethos, pathos, or logos comes in. Okay, so here's my example. So my claim is athletes should be paid the way the market values them. I believe this because people are free to choose where they spend their money, and then my evidence is, hey, we live in a capitalist society where people can decide what and where they want to spend their money. So looking at ethos, pathos, logos, think to yourself, okay, what is that? Is that an example of ethos, pathos, or logos? It's an example of logos, right? Because I'm using a logical appeal. Like you can't debate that we live in a capitalist society. We do. We live in America. It's a huge characteristic of America is capitalism. So I'm basically saying, hey, athletes deserve to be paid the way they paid because people choose to pay for them for this reason. They choose to pay there, and that's okay because we live in a capitalist society. So of course they should be able to do that. Okay. So the very first thing you need to have right in your opener is you need to have a claim. Then you need to have a reason why you believe that claim. Then you need to have evidence, and that evidence will pertain to ethos, pathos, or logos. And then the last thing you need is a warrant. And basically what your warrant is, you're just telling me why your evidence is relevant to your claim. So you're tying it back to your thesis. So my evidence is that we live in a capitalist society. So now I need to explain how that backs up my thesis or my argument. So this is what I say. If the laws and ideas in America say that an individual has the right to spend their money how they wish, then why would we begrudge an athlete the opportunity to accept the money based on their rights as Americans as well? So I'm basically saying because we live in a capitalist society, that means that athletes can accept the money that people offer them. So the argument that they shouldn't be paid this much isn't relevant because we live in a capitalist society. Okay? So in each of your body paragraphs, you need at least 2 body paragraphs, and I think it'd be preferable to have 3 body paragraphs. You should have a reason in your body paragraph, right? The reason why you believe the way you believe, the reason why you believe in your thesis. You should have evidence to back up your reason, and that evidence should pertain to ethos, pathos, or logos. and then you should have a warrant. You should tell me how that evidence backs up your claim. Okay. So that's the idea for your checklist for your body paragraphs. So if you look at the assignment that we have on the home page, so if I go to the home page and I go and I click right here on argument body paragraphs draft, here's this document right here. And this document, but I basically ask you to do, so again, you don't have to say, like in your podcast, you don't have to say something word for word, but we want to script this out so we know exactly what we're saying. So you're going to create at least 2 arguments, right? 2 arguments or 2 reasons why you believe in your thesis. So for one of my arguments, it's that, we live in a capitalist society, therefore athletes, deserve to be paid the way they're paid. Maybe another of my arguments is I think athletes should be paid a lot of money because they do things that normal human beings can't do, right? That could be another argument, and then I can get into my evidence, and then I can get into my warrant. So you'll do 1 argument and 2 arguments at least. And if you really want to do well on this project, I would suggest doing a 3rd argument as well, but it is optional. Okay. So in each of your arguments, you need to have a reason, you need to have an evidence, and you need to have a warrant to back up your ideas. Okay. And again, you have access to this video as well as the PowerPoint on the page overview page. Okay, so that's the first thing we'll be doing this week. Another thing we'll be doing this week is we'll be reading, again, obviously, we'll be reading Friday Night Lights. So Friday Night Lights, we're going to be reading chapters 12 and 13. So if you notice, we're skipping chapter 11. I didn't think it was too important to read chapter 11. So for Friday Night Lights chapter 12, we're going to be practicing argument. So the very first thing you want to do this week, I think, is focus on writing your own arguments, because after you do that, you can practice doing more arguments with Friday Night Lights. So you're going to read pages 251 to 286. That's 35 pages. You're then going to practice argument, and what we're doing is we're doing a discussion board. So rather than just doing an assignment, you're going to be creating a video. So you'll be creating a video, and in your video, you're going to be doing what I just talked about, right? You're going to have an argument, you're going to have a claim and an argument with reasons and evidence to back up what you're saying. Okay, so your video needs to be 2 minutes long, and you need to take a position on this topic right here. Were the coaches right and justified in benching and treating Boobie Miles the way they did? So you're either pro, you think they were fine in doing that, or you're con, you think they weren't fine in doing that. And so you'll give your claim, right? Boobie Miles, the coaches were right and justified in benching and treating Boobie Miles the way they did. And then you need to give me a reason, right? I believe this because of blah, 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 blah. And then you need evidence from the text, and then you need to have a warrant. So we're practicing argument. That's what we're doing. So you need to read the book to have that evidence. But we're practicing. Okay. So that is the assignment. And then after you post your video, you need to watch a video from a classmate who holds the opposite argument, right? So if I'm pro, if I think the coaches were right and justified, then I need to find somebody who was con, and I need to respond to them with a counter argument. Okay, so that's going to bleed into our next week's assignment, which is we're going to be talking about counter arguments. Okay, so you need to respond to at least one classmate. So very first thing you want to do this week is you want to focus on your own arguments. You're going to write, at least 2 arguments, hopefully 3. And then after that, you're going to want to read Friday Night Lights chapters 12 to 13, pages 251 to 286. All right, guys, have a great week, and email me or come into class if you have any questions.